Hi, so we're here at Singapore Fintech Festival. I'm here with Serey Chea, who is from the National Bank of Cambodia. Thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you for inviting.
No problems at all. Perhaps you could just give me, to start with, a little bit of a background on yourself and your role within the bank.
So I'm the Director General of the National Bank of Cambodia, which is the country's central bank, and I'm in charge of the policies and payment system, as well as the operation of the bank as well.
Wonderful. Okay. And one of the things that we're really keen on learning from the Fintech Times and the Fintech Power 50 is the differences between the westernized financial institutions and the Asia financial institutions. So what are the general sort of challenges and things that the National Bank is looking at the moment?
So I think in Cambodia and probably in many countries in this part of the world, we have an issue with financial inclusion. We're trying to get people to have a proper bank account and access to formal financial services, which I believe in the Western world, this is not really an issue for you. Everyone will have a bank account. So in this regards, it's in Cambodia in particular, we have the banking industry serving the affluent segment and the corporates in the economy, and then you've got the microfinance who provide micro lending to people in the rural area, lower segment of the market, and then you've got the payment service provider who provide e-wallet, money transfer to the people. We have in Cambodia, we have 16 million populations. Mobile penetration is more than 100%. So we have 20 mobile phone subscription, and so mobile phone in a way is a great. We want, as a central bank, we want to take the opportunity to take advantage of this. So we've been working very closely with the payment service provider and how to bring them together and have them be able to speak the same language, so they're system-wise, speak the same language as the bank, so that we can connect e-wallet holder and bank account with each other.
Together. So I read on some of the research we were looking at before that you're looking at blockchain solutions to enable this as well.
Yeah, so we've launched a pilot project on a backbone payment system using blockchain technology. And I mean, if I were to tell you it's payment system, you wouldn't bother to ask more. But then the moment I said blockchain technology, everyone get excited about it. That's fine. So basically, what we're trying to do is to the central bank will issue a national wallet for the users, and then everyone, because they're on the same platform, on the same wallet, will be able to talk to each other and make transactions and remittances. So now, how does it work? So banks would banks will surrender their fiat money to the central bank, and the central bank will, in exchange, credit their electronic. So if it's an individual, it will be your e-wallet, but for banks, I would say e-vault. In a way, so banks will hold that. So in terms of money supplies, it's one-to-one, nothing's changed. Now, banks will hold that tokenized fiat money. They can now sort of issue it to the end users. So if you are a customer and you want to be able to use that, you can walk into a bank and say, I want to withdraw cash, and you take the paper note, banknote, and put it in your leather wallet. Or you can say, I want my money go into my e-wallet. So you can then ask the bank to issue from their e-vault goes into their e-wallet, and then you can transact. Now, the e-wallet that the consumer will be holding would be the very one that the central bank has been providing. So because they're on the same electronic wallet, then the money can flow from one to another very easily. So now banks will be able to talk to each other through this channel. Payment service provider would also be able to incorporate our application through API into their existing wallets and allow people to use our platform for cross institutions payment or transfer.
Okay. And so does that help the underbanked and the unbanked because they then have access effectively to your infrastructure to be able to produce this payment?
It will help. I mean, we're just on a pilot phase, but the idea is that a lot of the people now, particularly our government workers, our civil servants, because they're living in remote area where conventional bank won't want to go, the government and the factory will pay them through this wallet. And what happened is that the people would usually go to an agent, mom pop shop down the street, and just withdraw cash, and that's it. The wallet sole purpose is to receive the money, and then people would just pull it out. And so we said that this is not good enough for financial inclusion. We want people to open a proper bank account.
Right.
And this is why we wanted to bridge the wallet provider and the banks together. And now, if this is where the technology is not so much relevant, more sort of policy, we require banks who want to be a member of our, what we call Backbone project, which you can find out more at the regulatory booth, to open a bank account and a wallet for their users. And also, customer can now get the money through the payment service provider, the e-wallet, but instead of taking cash out, withdrawing cash, they can now also transfer their money into a bank account that the bank would have open or required to open for them. So they can save some and then use some.
Okay. And with regards to opening that bank account, have you changed any of the policies or the procedures in opening that account? Have you made that easier to do?
We'll make it, in terms of the KYC, we'll make it much simpler and easier for people to do so. So all we need is to have a domestic mobile phone number that we can verify who you are. Take a photo of your ID card, and take a selfie of yourself. We're trying to match the photo on your ID and yourself. Usually, people look so much different from what they live in real life in their ID. So that's the first stage of it, and it will allow you to transact up to, I think about $1,000 US.
Okay.
I think I may need to double check, but it doesn't matter. There's a threshold, a very small amount that people can transact through this first tier KYC, and then above that, bank will have to invite you to a branch and then do a proper KYC.
Yeah, to do the more traditional approach.
Financial inclusions and people in the lower segment of the market, they usually you don't exceed that much anyway. So that should be enough.
Yeah. And I guess from the idea of getting people onto a very simple, almost like a bank account light to start with, then encourages them to then want to go to the next stage, and therefore financial literacy is improved through that process.
So that's what, first of all, would allow them to understand what is a bank account, and to get interest paid on their deposit, because in an e-wallet, we don't allow interest payment, because we don't want people to get confused that this is a means of an instrument of saving, because we don't regulate the payment service provider as stringently as we would to a bank.
Yeah.
So we want them to go to a proper institution. This is alone, technology alone would not solve the problem, and I keep sort of insist on this, because the literacy part of it, which is much more important. Now you give people access. What they're going to do, what are they going to do with it, is at the whole level of new, policy realm that we need to look at.
More about changing consumer behaviour rather than throwing technology at a problem. As you say, won't fix it by itself. But what you can do is start using technology to educate people and to encourage people into a new behaviour.
Yeah, that's definitely, technology would definitely help. And there's so much happening right now. There's so many technologies trying to provide solutions and so on. And I think that's great to be also in this part of the world where, it's usually in adversity that you become more creative trying to solve the solutions. And I think there's so much going on in Asia, so much to solve, but also so much happening, and the pace that we manage to solve some of those problems is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I've seen quite a bit, obviously coming from more of the Western side of things, based in Europe. You can see the rate of change and growth of the Asian market, especially in Southeast Asia, has been phenomenal. Which is a testament, I think, to forward-thinking banks like yourselves that are actually willing to embrace new ideas and new technologies.
Yeah, I think it's just happened that we have problems that we want to solve.
Yeah.
And it also happened that there's technology available out there to solve. So we'll just go to that. I think in the Western part, and I grew up having my life in the Western part as well, is that everything is so well, everything is so comfortable. There's this complacency that that's it, we've got it, that's fine. Just let it roll as usual. But here you have nothing. So you want to make things. It's either you go for it and test it and try it, or you have nothing. So there's nothing to lose. So what I'm trying to say. There was a lot of question to me about why I mentioned it on the stage as well, why is it a small country like Cambodia dare to take the first move in adopting blockchain, whereas many are just sort of looking into it. And I said, well, we have nothing to start with, and so it fell, but it can't be perfect. I mean, Titanic sank on its first sail, right? But if we don't sell, then we wouldn't know if it sank. So I mean, our approach is that let's just sell, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then we'll do something else. But
it's an advantage in some ways to have a blank canvas which to build something new on, rather than a lot of historical legacy systems and financial.
So this is an exciting part of the world to be in right now.
We could probably talk about this for many, many minutes, hours, days, etc. But I just wanted to really bring it back to, you spoke on a panel today. I heard that it was an absolutely packed audience, so congratulations on that. What are the general themes that you touched on your talk?
It's on the future of digital currency, and we've got on the panel, some of the first movers in the field. We've got somebody from Calibra, somebody from the People's Bank of China. China is going to introduce their own central bank digital currency, and someone from JP Morgan who's introducing their JP Morgan coins, and us from Cambodia, where we have already introduced our Baco project into testing it into a real environment. So it's not a proof of concept of anything. It's already out there.
Yeah, it's real. It's being used.
In used. Yeah.
Wow. So I can imagine it was quite an interesting panel. It's quite an interesting selection of people that you had there.
Yes, it is. I was very humbled to be among these people.
So I know you're very busy, so I don't want to hold you up too much. But perhaps we just finish off with what's looking into the future for the National Bank of Cambodia. What are you planning for 2020?
2020 is like a few days away. So I think there's a lot of things to be done. First of all, Cambodia is a very dollarized economy, and so we're trying to encourage more usage of the local currency. So that's an effort that is always there and ongoing. We would also want to see more people having access to formal financial services, and hopefully our Backbone project will bear some fruit eventually. So these are some of the immediate things that we are looking at.
Yeah. Sounds like very exciting times ahead. Thank you so much for taking your time to come and speak with us today. Very much appreciated.